Next up is a brand that merges function with style.
My name is Braxton Fleming, and I'm seeking $200,000 in exchange for 15% equity. 6 years ago, the trajectory of my whole life changed. I was transgender. The lifelong commitment of taking hormone replacement therapy in the form of injections. There was nowhere to properly store my medical needs in a safe, neat, discreet, yet stylish way. Stealth Bros & Co. revolutionized the way that we store our meds and dispose of our sharps.
Super entrepreneurs, to another Shark Tank Tales. We have another super entrepreneur to share with you today who was on Shark Tank. It was just this past season. I think it was episode 3 of season 14.
Two.
Oh man, I know because I just rewatched it today, and it was really great to get that refresher because it's been a while since it aired at this point.
Right.
Combined with the I think I rewatched it when we were supposed to originally do this interview back in June, but here we are anyway, and we're gonna jump right into how were you feeling when you were walking down that hallway?
Oh, God. I mean, that feeling is exhilarating itself, but, you know, I'm such a visionary type of person that I envision myself walking down that hallway probably a million times. So when I physically was doing it, it was such a like outer body experience, like a surreal moment. And then there's like a moment where they get like B-roll. So you stand out there. You don't really notice that on the show, but you stand there and they're just staring at you for like feels like forever. So yeah, it was crazy. It was super, super crazy, but super exciting. I felt good in that moment because I was very, very prepared.
You know that I think it's important to be envisioning yourself doing the thing that you plan to do, and in this case, I mean, you got to walk down seemingly very confidently down that hall.
Yeah. A lot of gym time, a lot of walks up and down the gym aisle confidently, pre-workout included. Helped for sure.
Well, that is awesome. Now you're from, was it Hamilton, New Jersey?
I'm actually in Galloway, New Jersey.
Galloway, okay. I mean, that's down the street from me.
Yeah, it's so close.
It really is. So with that, did you grow up in this area or did you move to this area?
I actually grew up in Burlington County. I grew up in a town called East Hampton, New Jersey, right next to Mount Holly, New Jersey. But yeah, that's the area I grew up in. Burlington, like Cherry Hill area. That was where I like had my stomping grounds. But then when I went to college and came back, I ended up coming more south. I actually ended up in Hamilton first. Then I went to Mays Landing, and now I'm a little bit more south. Now I'm in Galloway.
Okay. All right. Very cool. It's like I was very excited when you said in the show. You said Galloway in the show?
It was I said Mays Landing,
Mays Landing.
because at the time that's where I was living, in Mays Landing. But now I recently moved, so now I'm in Galloway, which is like a town a little bit more south, but it's literally right next door, like 10 minutes away.
Yeah, all that is pretty close to each other. So going in, you were looking for 200,000 for 15%.
Yeah.
And at the time, you were still nursing. Are you still nursing or in nursing? I should say, because nursing would be a different thing. Are you still in nursing to this point?
Actually, I do still have like my licensure and all that, but technically I have not been physically working as a nurse since my daughter was born in October. So literally right after the show aired, my daughter was born less than 25 days later, and then I stopped working after that point because it just was like so many things happening for me. Like I had just launched in CVS. The show had aired. My daughter was born. I was planning on taking a month off from work, but after she was born, my whole, you know how that is. Like, I was just like, I can't go back to work. So And plus work was picking up because of the show and other opportunities. So I just dove straight in, and I was already on the fence with it. I was working per diem prior to the whole year before. So like maybe 1 or 2 days a week, like 12-hour shifts. But then once the baby came, I just totally stopped. But yeah, it's been a blessing that I've been able to actually stay home with my daughter every day and not have to do that. So yeah, it's great.
That ding ding for that, being able to be
Yeah,
available when when especially when your kid is so young or kids are
right,
so young is
right.
really it's so I think it's so imperative for the kids to get that opportunity. I know when my son was born, I wasn't around a whole lot because I was
Mm,
working in the at my family's business, and I was
mm,
pretty much not there a whole lot. And he was quite young,
right,
under 1, under 2, and then the whole illness thing happened, and then I
mm,
was home every day, and
right,
that I saw the transition go from not caring if I came through the door to very much like honed in on me and what I'm
right.
doing and where I'm at, and things like that. So it was kind of nice,
Yeah.
to have to have that opportunity to get to spend that time, like I did with
Yeah,
my
definitely.
daughter when she was very young.
Mhm.
So yeah, that is awesome that you've been able to make that work for you and your family.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it's seriously the best thing ever. Like you said, like that feeling of your child just wanting you always, and it's so hard because obviously like babies normally want mommy, but my wife, she works and she has to work. She works as a nurse as well, so she still has to work. So the baby's home with me every day. So when mommy comes home and it's like a long day and she's tired, she's like, I just want daddy. And mommy's like, I can't believe this. So it's it makes me feel good because I'm just like, yes, like I've been imprinting on her. And yeah, it's the greatest feeling ever. It's such a hard job, but so rewarding. So rewarding.
It 1,000% is. I
Yeah.
when I had to watch my daughter, my wife went back to work, and
Mhm.
I was working from home and doing
Right.
consulting one on one and my podcast and stuff. And it just like because she would never take a nap, there was there was no downtime to be like, oh, you
Right.
can actually get some work done.
Right.
It's a whole big thing, but
It's a
I
big thing.
wouldn't trade it, the time that I got to spend for any amount of money. It's just so important. So so when uh Barbara goes in and offers you 200,000, 100,000 in a line of credit, 100,000 in cash for 20%, and eventually
Mhm.
Mark comes in on that deal.
Right.
Has that deal closed for you yet?
Yeah, the deal actually closed, like, it was either, like, literally right before the show aired or right after the show aired, but I had did all the due diligence that was needed in order to close, and, yeah, we closed on the deal, everything went through, yeah, amen to that, and it was just so aligned with my life in that moment of time. I it was just it just it just like it was perfect. It was needed. It was so needed. I always tell people like, you know, it's great to get the deal, but it's also a big burden to get the deal too, you know? So that's the downside of Shark Tank. It's an amazing experience, amazing opportunity to be in front of an audience so large. But then you have to come back home and now everyone thinks that you have all this money to spend on them. You know? So yeah, that's the hardest part. That's the hardest part.
Well, so when it comes to um getting that deal with them,
Yeah.
in the show, I mean, we can hear it. I'm wondering if they're able to hear it, if you said it loud enough, for the whole wouldn't be right if I didn't counter.
Right.
um you're not wrong, but at the same time, it's like you're signaling to them that I'm countering just for the sake of countering. Why? What?
Right.
Like it almost like sucks the oxygen out of that opportunity to counter. Could
Right.
they
Yeah.
hear? Did they
No.
hear you when you said that, or how did that?
Yeah, no, they did, and she's like, "No, we can't do that. We have to go back to our spouses with at least at least, 10% each, or yeah, well, yeah, 10% each. So it was like they kind of like, played it off. But ultimately I asked because there's a lot of like things that the producers want stated. So, you have to, it's not that you have to, but they don't want you to not take full potential of the opportunity. So that's why I stated it like that. I mean, I feel like there's like a thousand things I could have asked for differently after the show, of course. And like after I've been, there's just so much I've learned since the show has aired, and, just everything as far as financially. But yeah, so it was like a weird. It's like you have all this pressure. It's like you prepare for that pitch, right, for months, and you're prepared to speak on that pitch. You can do that, great. But once they start asking questions, it's like you get kind of caught up because now you're actually like conversing with them, directly, and that is yeah. It was weird. I don't even know why I said that, to be honest with you. I was just talking.
Well, they do. I know that they do coach and they, because they want you to be able to get a deal, and they want, but at the same
Right.
time, they also want it to be able to be editable so that it can
Right.
make sense for their editor. I mean, they have world
Right.
class editors editing. I mean, how long were you out there for?
Honestly, I have no idea. I probably was out there for probably like 30 to like 40 minutes, maybe. We talked about a lot of different things. There was a lot of things that weren't aired on the show, obviously, but yeah, no, I was there for a good amount of time, a good amount of time. I feel like, but it could have been a lot shorter because I was just so nervous. But at the same time, like I tell everybody, I couldn't even after I left that show that night or did the filming, I couldn't even remember. Like I called my dad immediately, and I couldn't. He was like, "So what happened?" I'm like, "I can't even tell you what they asked me because I was so nervous that I just like went blank. Like I just couldn't remember. I knew that I got the deal. I knew that, but I couldn't remember any conversations that we had until after the show aired. Then it was like, okay, I remember what happened, but it was crazy.
Well, that's not the first time we've heard people quote unquote, blacking out.
Yeah,
Either before they walk out or after they've gotten through their pitch, and then just yeah, I don't really remember, and I couldn't tell you how long because it just flew by right
right.
before my eyes. And no, I mean, I think it was so did your, and you don't have to get into the specifics, but like
Right.
when you got through the due diligence process, did your deal end up looking like what your deal ended up being on the show?
Yes, the exact same deal. The exact same deal went through. Yep.
Oh, that's
The
good. Well,
exact
that's
same
good.
deal went through.
Sometimes it goes it can go the opposite way. It can go any way. It doesn't
Yeah.
always. Usually, actually, I'd say probably more times than not, it doesn't end up being what ended up was agreed to on the show for one reason or another. But no, that is good to hear. Now, how did you wind up coming up with your initial offer evaluation of was it 200,000 for 15%?
Honestly, I did a lot of due diligence on that because of course when you think of Shark Tank, everyone's like ask for like 500,000, and they want you to ask for like as much money because everybody's so money hungry, but you have to think about like your actual business size. So based off of like what I was already making, I had to like base it off of that so that it was an actual strategic plan in place. So like you have to like kind of break up that money and like show that, well, you don't have to show the producers prior to, but you want it to make sense to the shark so that when you do close on a deal, or that if they do accept the deal, that it makes sense to them. Like it's impossible for me to ask for $500,000 or, $1 million when my business hadn't even touched that type of money, in the 3 or 4 years that I've been in business. So it just didn't make sense. And then I also had a call with one of their consultants through the show because I was so overwhelmed with what I should ask that I actually spoke to somebody about it, and they gave me a lot of insight on, what to think about when making the decision, and that's what really pushed me to that specific number and percentage.
Well, I think that might be a first. I don't know that we've heard anybody that has reached out to a consultant, or I've had a few people reach out to this consultant and work on it, but nobody that has made it to the show yet that I know of. Though the next season starts on Friday, so you never know.
You never know.
Yeah. So going into it, did you have a shark in mind that you were looking to strike a deal with?
Well, yeah, I did. I definitely did have two sharks in mind that I wanted to work with, but ultimately, I just really knew that I needed investment and I really just wanted someone to align with the brand. So I didn't, I wasn't in there like, I have to get this shark, or I'm going to, like, if this shark says they'll give me a deal, but I want a deal from another shark, then I'm going to wait. Like, you know how some people do that? Like when they're on the show, they're like, I want to hear from everybody. Like, I mean, of course you want to, but there's a way to say that so that you don't look like an ass. But ultimately, yeah, I was willing to take the deal from whoever thought that they connected with the brand the best. But of course, I had my ideas of who I wanted to be on the team with me.
Well, who was it?
Well, of course, Mark was one because of, the cost plus drugs. I just felt like we aligned in that fashion. And then I also thought that I connected with Lori and Lori, she actually broke my heart on the show because when she denied me, she spoke to me for so long prior to that. And I really felt like she was going to give me a deal because she was like one of the first people to say something. And then she ended up not wanting to give me a deal, which was fine. But I thought that she aligned with me because I know of like her network on like QVC. And I felt like with like the IVF connection, I felt like I had more of an outlet with her. But I didn't know that Barbara actually went through IVF. I didn't even, and the crazy part is I actually researched all the sharks prior to make sure they get the right color, that, you approach them in the right way. There's so much due diligence that needs to be done. But I did not know that she actually went through IVF herself. And when she started talking to me about it, because I was explaining my IVF journey with my fiance, well, my fiance's IVF journey, I should state, and what she went through, then Barbara was like, that's how we connected. And it was so warming because I had this idea of Barbara that like she just didn't want to make deals with people, and that I thought that I was like off the table for her automatically. Like before I even got on the show, I was like, she's not going to give me a deal at all. But you want to know what? She was the sweetest person to me. She is the sweetest person alive. I swear by it. I really do. And not just because she gave me a lump sum, but really honestly, like her heart is so pure. It really is. Like you can like feel her energy when you're in the room with her. Like that's how cool she is. So I was really excited, just to receive the deal from both of them. And then after with the due diligence and everything just worked out. And she even like emailed. It was great. It was good. I'm very happy that I'm with Barbara because I just feel like she brings a lot of insight and knowledge. And, this was my path, not for Lori. I got Barbara and I got Mark. So, I mean, it doesn't matter who you get. It really doesn't. For me, it doesn't. I'm just happy to be on the show. So, yeah.
Well, I did not know either about Barbara's IVF journey, and I think that was really cool of her to share that and to be able to make that connection.
Yeah,
and I mean, look, people, you see it in the comments a lot. Oh, you're doing all this money. Cool, I'm out. Like,
right.
and from specifically about Barbara not wanting to make deals and things like that. And I think sometimes it takes a bit of creative thinking to get people to go from one place to another, to say this isn't just about taking hormones for being transgender. This is for anybody who's dealing with that, with having to take sharps around with them. Sharps is the proper term.
Yeah,
needles.
injections.
I guess
Yeah.
injections. Okay. So I think that sometimes it's a mental game that you have to like work through to like get to that place, or like, oh wow, I can actually understand that this isn't just about what the branding is from, and like what
Right.
and see the bigger picture about it. And
Right.
so and I think that's really great that you've had a great experience so far with Barbara and Mark, and yeah, I mean Lori. I definitely see where the QVC piece would be like, yeah, I could totally see them like doing a
Right.
whole thing, like a whole hour
Right.
or a half hour segment just on Stealth Bros Co. And Co. And just having people calling about their stories that of like Barbara's story, right? And being like,
Right.
oh,
Right.
I'm embarrassed or this, that, and the third, and wanting
Right.
to get something that isn't just a plain bag. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
From like
Right.
Rite Aid or something, or Walgreens or
Right.
one of the drugstores. But
Right. Right. Absolutely. And that was like my initial like thought process about it. But ultimately, like God's moving me in the way that I need to be moved. So maybe I will be on QVC, just not through Lori. You never know. The opportunity is always available, so you just have to go out there and get it, and that's really it. But yeah, I'm with the Sharks. It didn't matter for me, honestly. I was just happy to be there, just super thankful.
yeah, look, being grateful and appreciative of every opportunity, I think, is the best way, because you never know. Like it could
You
go
never know.
any way, not get a deal. And then people call, I've heard so many things like they didn't get a deal. And then they get phone calls and emails from people and ultimately find the right investor for them after the fact. So you can't look at it just as these are my five shots that I get, and I'm
Right.
going to shoot them. And if that doesn't
Right.
work, then I guess it wasn't a great idea, because Sharks have been wrong about big things in the past. So it's not,
That's true.
they're not perfect. As I've said on this show many a times,
Right.
they are far from perfect. So going back to leading up to Shark Tank, let's talk about how did you balance your life and the business and nursing with preparing for Shark Tank, which is like a gauntlet in and of itself.
Yeah. The way that I prepare is I'm an early riser, so I'll get up at like 4 a.m. and then I go to the gym. And that's honestly like what sets my tone for the day. That's how I'm able to conquer my day and not look at problems and then rather than solutions. So if I don't go to the gym, then I have problems all day. If I go to the gym, like today, I went to the gym, so I'm having a great day. Then I just find the solutions. Yeah, I just find the solutions to everything. So I just figure it out. But I have a schedule. I'm very like, I like to be on a schedule with things. And I just spent the time where I just made the time. I mean, you make time for what you want to do and, what you're passionate about. And I just made time for it. And don't get me wrong, like, my wife, she was pissed. She's still pissed kind of at me. Because I work so much and like I always have things to do and you know, but at the end of the day, she knows like how much passion I have. So I just make time. I just make time. Like of course with the baby now, like things have definitely shifted in my life as far as like how I used to go to the gym, 6 days a week. I still go like 5 days a week now, but there's weeks that I may miss like 3 days in a row. And prior to that, for like 5 years straight, I never missed more than a day from the gym. So yeah, so it was definitely a hard shift once the baby came, but prior to, I was able to grind it out because the boys are older, so they do their own thing. They play video games, they go outside, they live their best life. So I don't have to worry about them too much. Just make sure they had something to eat and they got what they want and we're good to go. But before the baby came, so I was really dialed in when I was preparing for Shark Tank. I had a lot of time to just focus in and I just prioritize my day, make sure I made time for it. That's it.
Yeah, no, I hear you about the going to the gym and that getting you in the right, frame of mind for the
Yeah.
rest of the day. Well, I do not go to the gym. I do go running, and I'm not up at. You're saying you get up at 4?
Yeah.
That's
Well,
your,
yeah. Yeah. Well, actually, my wake up time was 5 a.m. Prior to my daughter being born, I used to wake up at 5 a.m. every day faithfully. Like it was just like up and out. But now if I want to gym every day, I have to go at 4 because the kids have school. My oldest is in high school now, and he actually got selected to go to a private school for football. So we have, he has to go to a drop. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. Yeah. Yeah, he's doing great. It's a whole thing. But I have to get up that early so I can be back so that they can get ready and she can take them and do what she needs to do for them while I take care of baby. So yeah, it's hectic. But yeah, I was up at 4 a.m. this morning. I've been up since 4 a.m. this morning, but yeah. So
I think this morning I woke up late. I woke up at 6, but I still found a time, 20, 30 minutes to get
but
out to
see,
go for a run.
but you see, you say 6 is late. Like some people think that's so early. Like 6 is a great time to wake up, but like for people like you and me, like six is late. Like you miss like a few hours that you could have been working, and then you could have had breakfast, and you could just do so much more when you get up at 4 or 5 a.m. It's just you just have more time. Yeah,
You do. The goal is like 5. Any earlier than that is kind of tough because I don't always go to
it's
bed
very
at
tough.
like 9 or 9:30. If I
Right,
do, but if I wake up at like 3 or 4, like a lot of times I find myself like I just can't always fall back to sleep. So I just am like, all right, I guess I'm getting up. But then that can really
yeah,
screw up. Like when I have late nights, like on Wednesday nights and Monday nights are late nights for me. And now Friday
right,
nights with Shark Tank being a very late night, midnight is late for me because that like screws up my Saturday.
right.
So it's one of those things, but having that, I had to explain it to my wife because she's like, oh, well, why don't you just take the dog out for the run with you? And I'm like, I'm not because that's not her time. That's my time
Right.
to like
It's my
solve the
time.
problems, right? And it's a
Right.
meditation. So for me,
Yes.
that's why. I mean, I'll do 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, up to 10 miles. Usually on the
Wow.
weekends, 10 miles. I'm not running the whole time because I am not in that
Right.
kind of shape anymore. Like am trying to get back to, but where I used to be pretty darn fast. But now, just as long as I'm getting those 4 to 6 miles a day. And I think it was also important that you said is that the compromise of I used to have to do this every single day and I did it for 5 years. Now if I miss 1 to 3 days, it's not the end of the world. And I think that
Right.
is that's when the discipline comes into play, right? Not the I wake up every day because your body's just like, all right, I'm up, I'm doing it, and we go, and then
Right.
eventually becomes habit. But the
Right.
the the drive to say, yeah, okay, we have a wedding on Saturday, Friday morning I might go for a run. I can't do it Saturday. Sunday I'm worn out from the wedding or whatever, and
Right.
then maybe Monday it's pouring outside, so I do the bike maybe. And then,
Right.
but no matter what, by Tuesday morning, I'm back out, like, doing
Right.
another 4 miles or whatever. I mean, this morning I only got 3
Right.
because I was late, but like, it's one of those things where it's like, that's where the discipline comes.
Yeah, no, for sure because yeah, that and it's hard too. I mean, it was such a hard shift. I mean, when my daughter was first born, I was really hard on myself because I am the hardest on myself, I think. But it was really hard for me to adjust because I'm like, I can't function if I don't go to the gym. Like, how am I supposed to function? But of course, I wanted to be there for my daughter. And then, like you said, like for me personally, it's like it's not that I have abundance of things to do, but it's if the baby wakes up at like 3 and then she doesn't want to go back to bed, and then I'm supposed to be up at 4, and my wife has to work the next day, and then I feel bad because she slept with her for the first half of the night. So then it's like, I feel bad for leaving, and like, there's so many different factors involved, but that's the main reason why I don't get up and go. And because sometimes I lack the discipline because I'm just like, oh, this is so cozy, I'm so cuddled up, and then I just can't get out of bed because I'm just content with being here, my baby's here. Like it's like sometimes I run into that too, but now I feel like now, because my daughter's about to be 1, so I feel like now we're like on a real schedule, like with her, and now I'm really like diving deeper back into like my hustle and like my grind mode, because I can like do more with while she's like with me. Before it was like really hard because I got to hold her, do this, do that, but now she's walking around, and I'm like, okay, you're over here hanging out, I'm gonna go do this, and I'm keep my eye on you right here. So yeah, so it's a lot better now for sure, but it's tough at first. It's tough.
It is. I mean, my daughter, she still has trouble sleeping, going to
Yeah.
sleep or staying asleep, and she's 7 now. So, and that was one of the reasons I fell out of practice, was because,
Yeah.
you don't know like what time she's just going to decide to wake up and cry or scream, or in her case, throw up a lot. Like
Right.
up until she was like 3 or 4, she would just throw up like all the time, all the time. She
Oh
would
my
cry
gosh.
herself into just throwing up everywhere.
Oh my.
So so that's the thing, is like you just don't know, and it's like, okay, I need to, and I feel that way sometimes too, where it's like, oh, it's 4 o'clock, but I went to bed late. I'm going to make the conscious decision to say, I feel like I can go back to sleep. I'm going to go back to sleep. I'll worry about
Right.
working out later, because I need that energy to get through the day. And while working out is usually the number one thing in the morning, sometimes sleep has to take that, and again, that's where it's like you have to set those priorities, and that's where the real discipline comes in. Feeling guilty about taking advantage of the time. Time is the most valuable resource we have, right? Energy's the
Right.
second, money's number 3. And so sometimes you gotta like, manage the time and the energy before we even think about money. uh
Seriously.
when you're laying in bed and it's like, it's 3:30, can I trust myself without setting an
Yeah.
alarm to like get another hour and a half cycle in, and
Right.
then get up. But it's sometimes it's a real struggle
It's a real
to
struggle.
make it happen, and then get back into the habit when 3 or 4 days might go by. 2 to 4 days will go by where I'm not getting out to go run. God
Right.
forbid you get injured or something and I can't go running, like,
Yeah.
it makes it so much
Yeah.
harder after the fact. But
Well, that actually happened to me with my daughter. That thing it's like, I forget what it's called. I should know. I'm the nurse, right? It's called like, it's not, it's like tendonitis in your wrist, but they call it the mommy thumb, because when you hold your baby for like, because your wrist is like bent from holding the baby for so long, and because I spoiled the hell out of my daughter the first, well, whole year of her life, I'm like holding her all the time, even when she's napping. So my wrist actually like developed like this issue, and I couldn't lift, and I was so, oh my god, it was the worst. But I still went to the gym. I just got on the runner and I just ran on the runner, or I did legs, I did squats, I did anything I could possibly do but lift with my wrist. But yeah, it was terrible, because that really played like a mental game on me afterwards, and that was just really hard too. So
Mm. Yeah, well, a
yeah.
lot of it is mental, right? Whether or not I can push
Yeah.
myself through to do it, go faster, lift more, do more reps, and things like that. And yeah, I can imagine, like, I don't think I've ever heard of it before, but I mean, there's all
Mm.
tendons and things running down. So if you're
Right.
like doing this and holding something heavy, I could totally see that pull. I mean, just doing this
Yeah.
to my arm, I can feel it.
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
it's pretty intense. Yeah, they call it the mommy thumb, because it's like most mothers get it from like holding their baby like 24/7 after they're born and stuff like that. So yeah, and that
Uh,
was kind of like me.
so how did you wind up getting connected with Shark Tank? Did they reach out to you, or did you apply?
Yeah, they actually reached out to me, which was wild. I was like, "What?" I got this random little email that was like, "I'm a producer from Shark Tank. Here's my number. Give me a call." And I'm like, "No." I thought it was a joke. I thought it was like some scam, because you get emails all the time, especially like in business. So I was thinking like, "Oh, this is some, BS." But no, it wasn't. But of course, I was hungry, so I called. And I made the call, and they said, "We found you. We want you to be a part of the show. Are you interested? If you are, here's this series of applications and paperwork that we need from you. And just because you do this 900 pages of application doesn't mean that you'll be on the show, but we still want to have you. And I was like, okay. So I literally spent every single night for, I want to say, give or take, like 4 months, doing like strategic planning, getting my business in order. Um, you know, Shark Tank was so great for that. Even if I never had the opportunity to be aired or to film, just the preparation alone, that was needed in order to be on the show, of the information that they needed of my business, really pushed me, because it was things that I slacked on, like, your financials and all, like, having your Excels in order and all these things. And it really, really pushed me to align and organize the back end of my business. That really helped me. Like it helped me. It helped me so much. But yeah, that's how I got on the show. They pretty much just asked me to be on, and I just did what they asked, and I made it.
Were you a big fan of Shark Tank prior to it?
Yes, I was. Yes, I had applied, like, when my business first started in 2017. I had applied online one time, and it's so crazy because people were always like telling me, like, oh, you should be on Shark Tank. You should be on Shark Tank. And, when you're going through that whole process, you can't say a word. You can't say nothing they don't even want you to tell your mama. They don't want you to tell nobody. So when I was working, still at my nursing job and going to work all the time, and people knew about my business, they knew that I was, like, doing okay at that time, but they didn't know anything about Shark Tank. And people were like, you should be on Shark Tank. You should be on Shark Tank. And that whole time I was like filming to be on Shark Tank while they were saying stuff. And it was so crazy because I had to, like, stay so quiet and not say anything. And then obviously, like, after it aired and everything, I was able to, like, go back to work and tell everybody what happened. But yeah, it was fun. That was a fun experience.
Now, once you got back from taping the show, how did
Yeah.
you and what did you do to prepare your business for potentially getting to air on Shark Tank?
Well, you honestly can't prepare because they don't let you know if you're going to air until like 2 weeks prior to the show airing. So there really is no preparation. All you can do is, like, brace your website to have, like, your main products up front, so that the people who are, like, coming in and out, that they are seeing what you're, offering. The teams, the Mark's and Barbara's teams, sat with me and said, you should try to, like, move things around for the website and try to help me just get prepared. But like they said, there's really nothing that you can do to prepare for, because you don't know how much. It could be a huge influx. It could be a small influx. You could sell everything out. You could sell only a few things out. So it really just was, they just said, just embrace the moment, be happy that you made it this far, and, just take whatever comes. And that's kind of how I took it.
So you didn't get extra inventory or anything of that nature?
No, you can't, because it's 2 weeks out. I mean, our production is like 35 days, so there's just, like, no way that you can prepare to get more inventory in. But luckily, because of the time that it aired, it was right before, like, the major holiday season. So I had just ordered a very large shipment. So I was able to add product to the site, even though it wasn't available yet, but it was coming like 2 weeks after the show had aired. So I was able to throw a little bit extra on, and, like, put up items that weren't, like, currently available, and just made them available, so that once they got here, I was able to ship them right out. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So
Yeah.
speaking of that, did you have a watch party, and what did you do for it?
Okay, so I didn't. Well, I watched it with the kids and my honey. That was it. That was all that was there. And it was very. What I always. It was very calming. It was very calming, because a lot of, when the show airs, everyone is like, "Holy shit, you're on Shark Tank!" Ah, everyone is, like, freaking out. You know what I mean? And I had already freaked out for 8 months prior to that. I was already freaked out for 8 months. I had put so much work and stress and tears and energy and everything into it, that by the time the show aired, I could barely even watch it because I was just so overwhelmed with what had happened. I feel like I'm still overwhelmed. It's like a year later. But yeah, it was I had a lot of imposter syndrome around Shark Tank. Um, because it just was a big accomplishment. And so for when I was actually watching the show, it was really hard for me to watch the show because it was just like, I did it. I worked so hard to get here and I did it. So what's next? What else do I have to do now? And like that was like kind of the mindset because like I said, I'm really hard on myself with everything. So it was like, okay, I accomplished this. I did it. I did it. I envisioned it a billion times and now I got it. I did it. Now what do I have to do next? My mind was so focused on I feel like I still haven't like spent the time enjoying that accomplishment, but uh it's just like what do I have to it's just like the real work starts now. Like now I have this financial investment. How do I properly invest it? What do I do? Where do I place it? I was so concerned about making all the right decisions that it was really hard for me to like sit there and have a party because I'm so focused on success that I couldn't just because you get that money doesn't mean that you are 100 that you're done. It's like the very very beginning of real work and that's how I still view it like that. So it's not like a big people made it super huge because it is a great accomplishment, but it's just the start of it. It's just the planting of the seed. It's not the fruit of the labor yet. So you have to chill, So like I'm still in that phase where I'm out the dirt now. I'm here now. So that's great. I have a little bit of leaves on me. Maybe I have one strawberry, who knows? But ultimately, I still have so much work to do. So I couldn't really like bathe in that. You know what I mean? I just felt like it wasn't a time for me to bathe in that. I just needed to continue to strive forward. I still feel like that.
I don't know if applauding's the right word. I empathize with that being of us how I feel I would feel, right? It's because it's
Yeah.
never business is never over until it's sold or
Right.
done, right? But
Right.
the door's closed. So but even then, like, what's next? Like, what's the next
Right.
thing that I'm going to do, or produce, I don't even want to say conquer because like it's never like even and if this and if this sounds foreign to anybody, any of the super entrepreneurs listening, like think about companies that are like massive big, right? Like ones that have like 100 brands under it, right? And they just keep buying up these other brands, like a
Right.
General Mills or a Procter and Gamble or things like that. Like if those
Right.
people were ever satisfied with what they were and like we did it, we're 80-95% of the market
Right.
share on this product, and then boom,
Right.
that's it. We celebrate, we pop the champagne bottles, and then
Right.
that's it. Like we're just gonna rest on that, right? That was
Right.
the glory days, right? And you
Right.
don't want the glory days, like at least
Right.
until I don't know, you're looking back at when you're no longer capable of doing anything else, and that's kind of the way
Right.
I look at it. So I empathize, I sympathize because it's
Yes.
also
Thank you.
not great because you have people yelling at
Right.
you like you should be so excited. You're like,
Right. And like I
yeah,
am
it's
excited. I
cool.
am excited, but I have more work to do, Like yeah, it was like one of those it was a weird moment for me for sure. It was definitely, you know, it's one of those things that you can't really understand unless you're in it or you've had an experience of, accomplishing something like on a scale like Shark Tank or a major opportunity like that, and then, after you have worked so many months for it and it's just I don't know, it's a weird feeling, but I am happy. I'm just very content about my happiness. Yeah.
uh I almost feel like it should instead of the bell, it should be like that.
Right.
I don't know what's that the stick and the
The
bowl. Yeah, 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 it
yeah,
should be
yeah,
more
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah. on the tarot readings, the tarot card readings.
Your moment of zen.
Yeah.
So with that night that it aired, how did the traffic go to the site? How did the sales go? Did you sell out? Did you come close to selling out? How did it go that night?
Yeah, it went crazy. It went super crazy. We had so many sessions. I think it was over the weekend or that week. We did like, I don't know, it was a lot. It was a lot. It was like kind of like 3 months of what I normally do. So it was crazy. Like over the weekend, like we pretty much sold out of everything. There was like a few items that I had a lot of things of, like my shuttles. We had a lot of shuttles, so that didn't 100% sell out. But like all the DOP kits, all the junior DOP kits, like those all just sold out, which was great because we had all that new inventory coming. So I was still able to sustain for a little bit, and then obviously make more purchase orders to receive more product. But it was excellent. It was perfect. It was needed. It was so, so, so needed. I'm telling you, because I had CVS fulfillment and all these things that were coming down on me. So I needed that money like you didn't even know. Okay. It was like, if I didn't get that money, I don't know what I would have been doing. But things work out how they work out. And I was able to sustain myself. So thank God for that.
That is great to
Yeah.
hear. That is
Yeah.
great to hear.
Yes. Yes.
So how did you wind up coming across my video?
So actually, there was a couple of people who sent me your video, and I was like, "Oh, wow." And they were like, "Yeah, he actually talked nice about you." And I'm like, "Oh, really?" I'm like, "Oh, this is great." Because listen, because even till this day, I still haven't watched like the YouTube or anything. Like, I haven't looked at any of the comments or anything. I know people are saying wild stuff under there because I have a social platform and they say wild stuff to me on there all the time. So I'm sure that there was some crazy stuff going on. But ultimately people were just telling me about you, and I was just like, "Oh, wow." And I was like, that's so nice that he's like wasn't like down on me or anything. So I was really happy about that. And then I've been wanting to do the interview. It was just like, a situation before that came up. And then, I was just waiting to get on your calendar, and now it was my
I
opportunity.
know. I wish I had more time available. Remember, time, energy,
Yeah.
money. I wish I had more
Yes.
time available to do more interviews per week and dedicate
Right.
that time because these are just great conversations, and
For
friendships
sure.
that have grown out of these. And then get to share them with all the super entrepreneurs and things that they get to learn and listen to. And some of them end up going on the show, like Hank. Shout out to Hank from the Nature's Wildberry. Later on in season 15, who were watching these interviews and videos and stuff. So I'm so glad that the super entrepreneurs out there, are constantly sharing these videos with the people that have been that are in them, and getting to just spread that message. And I mean, I'd say I'm a positive realist.
Right.
I'm always looking on the positive side, but like, there's realism too, and but even in
Right.
the like where it's like, this might not be that thing. Let's
Right.
see where we can make a positive out of that thing and get to
Right.
that next piece, that next piece of the puzzle. So I'm glad that so you did watch my video then, but you
Yes,
did
I
not.
did. I
Okay,
did.
okay, good.
I did. I did.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So growing up, Braxton, what was your childhood dream?
My childhood dream when I was growing up was actually to be a basketball player. Mind you, I'm only 5'3".
Oh, but hey, was it Muggsy Bogues, man? He was only was he like 5 foot or something?
I don't know, but that's honestly was my dream when I was a kid. But no, seriously though, as I
Five foot
got a little bit
three.
older, like I really honestly wanted to be a plastic surgeon. That was honestly my life goal growing up. I want to be a plastic surgeon because my mother used to make me watch. Um, I don't Discovery Health isn't a channel anymore, but it used to be a channel multiple years ago. It was called Discovery Health. I think that's now owned by Oprah.
Oh,
She took over that. She took over that channel. But either way, Discovery Health used to show all different types of things, and I wanted to be a surgeon. I felt like I wanted to be a plastic surgeon because I wanted to make a lot of money. That was like the main thing. And I really loved healthcare. I really loved working in healthcare. So that was like a big goal for me. But when I went to college, I had way too much fun. And then I started to think, oh, I can't be no surgeon. I can't do all that. And then I decided, no, I'm just going to be a nurse. I'm just going to nursing school. So then I became a nurse, and I love nursing. And I'm only a licensed practical nurse. I don't want to say only because then that kind of like puts my people down. But yes, I'm a licensed practical nurse. But I actually had all my prereqs to start my RN to BSN program to get my bachelor's in nursing right when I started the business. And then the business just started to move. And with nursing, you have to put so much effort into it that I could not do both. It was either I do one or do the other. And I really loved the business so much. I was just having way too much fun. So I was like, I'm going to just do this instead. And then, yeah, so those prereqs are out the window now.
well,
Yeah.
hey, but you still ended up doing, the thing that you loved, which is helping people, and you're helping
Yes,
people
for
in a
sure.
different way now, and
In a different
using your
way.
medical
Yes.
background as well as your
Yes.
um, uh, vanity background, I guess. Is that I could go with the other V word, background, but I'll stick with vanity. Um,
Okay.
because I think that, but also confidence. But I mean, it's confidence building is at the heart,
Right.
right? And feeling
For
confident
sure.
about the things that you have, and but yeah, so I think that's really cool that you got to blend both of those itches together
For sure.
and scratch them with this product. Now, with that said, what does the future of Stealth Bros and Co. look like?
Well, the future of Stealth Bros and Co. I really honestly want to obviously continue dominating on our B2C and our e-commerce website. That's like something that I always keep near and dear to my heart. But ultimately, I want to take Stealth Bros to the B2B world. We really want to serve like specialty hospitals, universities, clinics. We really want to reach those masses in a big way. So that's like what I'm like working on behind the scenes right now. But ultimately, I would just love to see Stealth Bros functioning, just as a top brand for underrepresented medical communities, so that people know that they are heard and seen. And people always say, "Oh, well, it's just a bag. You can buy a bag anywhere." But you can buy a bag anywhere. You could also buy sneakers anywhere. But you choose to go to Nike because you believe in that brand and you like what that brand supports. And ultimately that's exactly what Self Bros and Co is about. Like, we support the people and we want to uplift lives. So that is my goal, is to just continue uplifting the lives of people who are just stigmatized socially, and just breaking that stigmatization around injectable needs as a whole. And just continue crushing it. And ultimately, I don't want to run Stealth Bros forever. I would love to have someone else come in. I would always want to have my hand in it, but I really want to like do speaking engagements and talk more to my community, talk more to people outside of the community. Um, and just, I feel like I'm that person that can create that bridge for people who have such a negative connotation towards transgender individuals. And, I live a very traditional lifestyle. I like that. That's, how I choose to live. And I want people to see that so that they can see, like, hey, like, maybe transgender people really aren't that bad. It's really not that big. It's really not that big of a deal. We're not hurting anybody out here. And that's like what I just really want to be able to use my voice, use who I am, and use my nursing background to help like push education as far as like proper injectable storage and just all around education, I think, around who I am, what I do, and just healthcare all in general. Yeah, that's my goal for sure.
Oh no, I love that, and I love that your understanding of yourself and the confidence to understand that like what you want is the quote unquote traditional. I wouldn't use the word normal. I think some people might,
Right.
but traditional set of life.
Right.
And I think that's really interesting. And I think that is could be empowering to people to see that, and then bridge the gap of their own
Right.
biases and their own beliefs, or what they think they actually believe,
Right.
is in their mind, because that's what they were, and I point this out to my dad and other people all the time. Like, most of what you believe was sold to you in a commercial at some
Right.
or some form of advertisement somewhere in your
Right.
life. And once you realize that, you can just start to like say, poke the hole, poke holes right through what you believe to be something that's like so near and dear to your heart.
For sure.
Santa Claus is real, people. Santa Claus is real.
Right.
So no, I love that. I love that. And I think that you definitely seem to have the ability to go and speak to that, and help break some of those stigmatisms, those biases, and those maybe never even gave it a second thought. That I know for me, I mean, I have several, and I mentioned this in the video. I have at least one family member, and then several friends that are transgender or maybe soon to be transgender, and to me, whenever and I have friends that feel the opposite way, right? That are like, I can't envision this world.
Right.
I just I don't love when people try to dehumanize humans. I think, and life is messy. Like, it's not starts with a 0 and
Linear.
ends in a 1. And there's nothing in between. It literally infinity is between 1 and 0. So there's infinite a number of combinations of how people choose to live their lives, and the paths in which they took to get there is not super cookie cutter like we might want to believe, based upon like movies that we watched, or stories that were told, or advertisements that told us how cool cars are to live in metal boxes for a good chunk of our lives. But no, I love that. So finally, how can people get your product? Where can people go?
Okay, so you can go to stealthbrosco.com and find all the products there. Or we're actually on TikTok Marketplace now as well. We do sell on Amazon as well. And we also do sell our Sharps shuttles, the black only, in CVS. So if you go to CVS.com and put in Stealth Bros, you'll find our product, and you can either go to your local store and purchase it, or you can pick it up right offline. And we're in a little under 4,000 stores nationwide.
Woo! That's incredible.
Yeah,
I just noticed you don't have TikTok down here in the social media.
I know. I need to upgrade. We literally just are launching this whole TikTok project right now, so that needs to be updated. Let me put that on a calendar.
There you go. There you go.
There you go. Another piece of homework. But yeah, no, for sure. But yeah, no, we literally just started to really push on TikTok and have a whole plan in place starting actually October 1st. So I'm really excited about that, and just got our TikTok shop up and launched. So yeah, so see us on TikTok.
That is awesome. I mean, you're doing great things on Instagram. So keep up the great work, Braxton. I'd love to have you on again for sure. An update in like a year or so, and we should definitely try to get together. Are you a Philly fan at all?
I am a Philly fan. I love Philly.
Phillies or Eagles.
I mean, listen, this is why I tell people I don't watch football. I don't watch TV. Ever since I started my business, I don't watch TV. I am so hyper focused that if I have downtime to sit and watch TV, I have time to do my work. I have so much work that if I sit and bullshit around, I won't get my work done. So the boys, they love football. They're not Eagles fans though. They have other teams.
Oh,
But hey,
oh.
that's their father. That's their biological father. That ain't got nothing to do with me. But ultimately, I grew up on the Eagles. My dad loves the Eagles. My whole family loves the Eagles. So I always root for the Eagles. But I don't follow. I follow their football more than I do the NFL.
Yeah, I only pretty much will watch the Eagles games, and I usually have my laptop in my lap doing doing other work while the
You
game is,
see?
because you get like 30 seconds of downtime between each play, so it's like, oh, I can look down. Oh, okay, here's the next play. In fact, I didn't get to watch Monday night's game. I watched like 2/3 of it because I was at Top Golf with some
Top Golf.
friends. I know. Well, I'm in a league. A good friend of mine invited me
Oh,
to a league. It was like, by the time we got done, for 6 of us, I want to say it's like $87 a person for 8
it's not
weeks of
bad.
Top Golf, 4
What?
hours on Monday. Yeah, I'm like,
What?
I asked my wife, I'm like, can I do this? And she's like, well, Dom's got soccer and Ava and karate before, Dom and Ava have karate before that. I was like, I know, but like $87 for 8 weeks of getting to go to Top Golf. Like, I really am trying to get better at golf, and this is an opportunity to go do that and have some good food. And
I'm really trying to get better at golf.
I am. Well, because it's such a networking thing, right? And especially as
Right.
I get older, more and more of the people that I'm, they're like, oh, we're going out golf. Well, so I've been trying to play for like a year and a half or something like that. Close to 2 years now. And for like, I was going quite often in the driving range because like I can hit the golf ball pretty well.
Right.
But driving is such a crapshoot that like if I can't get off the tee or safely get off the tee for everybody else's sake, then I can't really play the game. So so I was just like, yeah, I gotta do this, and I've gotten so much better, just in the last few weeks of that consistent practice of going, to the range. I have a range right behind our shop. There's we have a big swing golf range. Like I could walk there from the shop. So I'm like, I need to go there more often than just like once every couple of months. Get that practicing, So anyway, I didn't get to watch the game. So before I was here, I was watching the game and fast forward because I had it recorded. So I'm just like, oh, play, fast forward, oh, play, fast forward, play. Just to be able to actually get to watch some of the stuff I didn't get to see. So, but I agree. I try not to watch TV either. I think that my wife watches it and she enjoys quite a bit, but I just can't. I'll watch a movie. Movies are.
I'll watch a
I'm more of
movie.
a movies.
I'll watch a movie. I haven't watched a movie in a long time because of the baby. And once she goes down, we actually had to move her crib into our room. So once she goes down, if we turn that TV on, she's gonna wake up. So we have early bedtimes, or we just sit there and we just talk quietly amongst ourselves about our day or whatever our pillow talk, and then we take it down for the night. But she was just saying that we should watch some of our shows on Netflix because we haven't sat and watched Netflix since our daughter like literally like had time to just sit and binge like we used to. So she was like, we should do that. I'm like, but how? Like, how are we going to do that with this baby?
So is it the light or is it the sound?
It's both.
Or is it both? Okay. Because we used headphones at one point in our room, Bluetooth headphones, and then connected the other. They had like a mode to connect another pair of headphones to it. So we like just laid there and watched. Yeah. They were JBL, I forget what they were, series, but they had the ability to have a second pair of Bluetooth headphones. I was like, okay, cool. We could totally make that work. And that's what we did, to watch quite a few movies in bed while our baby pretended to sleep for at least a couple of hours.
Right. Yeah. I'm going to have to look into that because I think she can sleep with the light, but if it's like flickering or like changes of scenes where it goes light to dark, then that's all. It's so bad. It's so bad.
Time to get your phones out, and then you just like get like a little tripod or something or an iPad and set it like right there on the bed.
That's what we were thinking, using the laptop to just watch some
There
movies
you
in
go.
bed and do it that way. She can have the left AirPod, I'll have the right.
Well,
I actually might
Braxton,
make that work.
yeah, well, there you go. I mean, that's a way, because I'll tell you why I don't love TV shows is it's especially hour-long TV shows. They extend it to make it fit that hour for commercial
Right,
purposes and stuff. And it just seems
right,
like it's just so much wasted time. Like usually if a show's only a half hour or however long it needs to be, that's the kind of
right.
show I will give more
Time to, yeah.
time to option to actually watch. But usually movies, because they have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and I can feel
Right,
satisfied at the end or mad or whatever. But at the end of the day, it was like an
right,
hour and a half, 2 hours.
right.
And at least the idea wasn't like, wow, it took how many seasons before it started to get good, or I had to watch 6 episodes, 6 hours, 6 hours before I feel like, oh my goodness, I can't live without this show. Like if it can't get me
Right,
and keep me, then I mean, Ted Lasso was great. But it was only just for me, it was like just good enough to keep, the positivity train that kept it going. But
right.
yeah, a lot of shows, man, I just can't do it because they're just
Not enough time.
there's not enough time and they're just not that good in my opinion.
Yeah.
But
I haven't
I
watched, so I don't even know. I don't even
uh,
know what's going on right now. That's the worst
uh,
part.
uh, you know what? Watch Only Murders in the Building. That's a really good. I think that's only a half-hour show. It's on
All
Hulu.
right. Oh,
That's a
all
good show
right.
to watch.
I got Hulu. So
Yes, give
definitely
that. It's
check
just
that.
it's Steve Martin, Martin Short, and the Selena Gomez, and then there's like lots of
Okay.
like the celebrity sprinkled in around, in the show. But really good. First 2 seasons are fantastic. Third season's out now. Definitely would recommend that. But anyway, I'd also recommend
All right.
us getting the heck out of here, and I'd recommend
All
you,
right.
if you haven't watched Braxton's pitch, click on up here. If not, I'll see you down in the video below. Thank you so much,
Excellent.
Braxton, one more time for being here with us. Greatly
Thank
appreciated.
you.
I think I forgot to give you super claps for being here. So I didn't forget. We're at the end. It's been a couple of weeks since I've done these interviews. I'll see you in the next video. Take care and go be super.
All right. Peace out.